One of my favorite stories in the Bible is the prodigal son. It's the story where one son just runs away, does whatever he wants, and then ultimately the father welcomes him home. But at the end of that story, it talks about the son that always stayed there, that stayed home, and he's like, dude, that's not fair. How come that guy got to run away and get to party, and I stayed here and followed all the rules? I'm the kind of guy that likes to follow those rules. I'm that kind of a person. That's how I've been in my entire life. I'm a rule follower. I love to play board games because they have rules, and you have to follow them. And if you break those rules, I get really upset with you. I like to stay within the confines of that. Growing up, it was really easy for me to obey all of the moral rules of the Bible kind of thing, and obey and do everything right. And in my youth group, we had crazy people growing up, and some of them were not as morally stringent as I was. And I always compared myself to them and said, look how awesome I am. I follow the rules, therefore I'm good enough. And it took me a long time to realize just how awful that actually is. It sounds awful now that I think about it, but it was awful then. And I mean, it's just a really terrible thing. I judged my worth with God on how much better I was than the person next to me, not recognizing that my standard with God is compared to Jesus and not to the person that I was sitting next to. And it was just a real shake-up for me to recognize that following the rules does not determine who I am. Only the work of Jesus determines who I am. Only the work that he has done on the cross sets me right with God, not the things that I do. Now, I still fall into that. I still compare and have to know how the rules are. In fact, yesterday in our flag football game that I was coaching, the other coach bent a rule, and I was furious. Like, this is not fair, not just. And then I had to realize this is flag football. It doesn't matter, that kind of thing. And so the rules, while helpful, are not what determine who I am. It's my relationship with Jesus that determines who I am and what's important in my life. And so I have to battle that every single day because it's really easy to compare myself and just get by on that standard.